that took America over. They really are criminals. They're getting ready to start devaluing the currency and grabbing everybody's bank accounts. They're a bunch of scum. America doesn't exist anymore. It's been taken over by mega banks. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. And then also, you know, prime example, you have these neocons saying that they're up for the Constitution, they're for America, they're for our rights. And I don't know if you really talked about it too much, like with Rick Perry starting that lawsuit in Virginia because he didn't make the requirement to 10,000 signatures because he couldn't be on the ballot.
Yeah, none of the candidates in Virginia and other states could get on there but Romney and Paul. They're the only major contenders, and I've been saying that for 4 months looking at the polls. The only two people that could seriously run against Obama are Mitt Romney and Ron Paul with the money, the name, everything. And then with Romney, he's an Obama clone, so it doesn't matter. The only person's Ron Paul. It's very simple.
Exactly. And the people is right in front of our faces. If we don't wake up, we are not going to have anything left.
Let me ask you a question, because it's important. What do you think of Huntsman trying to claim there's no New World Order when it's in front of everybody?
It's just another example of the globalists showing their arrogance, thinking that we're stupid. And there are people that are waking up. We just need more people waking up. And I hope, particularly today in Iowa, that the people in that state realize what they're doing and still vote their gut. And, you know, we know that Ron Paul is leading these polls. Just make sure they get out there and vote the way that they feel and stop being sheeple and listening to everything what other people say.
Exactly. MJ, I appreciate your call. Yeah, doing what the dominant media says is trendy has destroyed this country. We have foreign criminal interest running a giant psyop against us. They're the enemy. Welcome back to the syndicated radio transmission. I'm Alex Jones, your host. We also simulcast the radio in living color with a 5-camera shoot at Prisonplanet.tv. And last hour, I was playing clips of Henry Kissinger, Obama, Bush Sr. calling for world government, New World Order. And I just look at how arrogant they are. They're just con men who practice talking real smooth and real slow to sound reasonable when they're doing horrible things. And they've taken the wealthiest nation in the world and made it the greatest debtor nation. They've taken a nation known for liberty and freedom and turned it into one known for evil. And now they're trying to give us more of the same as the solution. And just a decent American who's a constitutionalist is being called crazy and kooky. Well, then they're saying George Washington is crazy and kooky because Ron Paul follows the Constitution, not to a fault, but some would say to a fault, to an obsessive, compulsive level. Now, if you don't like Ron Paul, then you don't like what America is. The people demonizing Ron Paul and myself are lecherous, un-American vipers who want the destruction of our republic and who are signed on to the New World Order, period. Let's go back to your phone calls here. And I'm sorry, well, there was another Mark from Illinois, so I got confused and thought that was the same Mark. But let's go back to Mark in Illinois, then Rick and others. Mark, thanks for holding. Welcome.
How you doing, Alex?
Good.
I have a couple questions for you. One, for the police, they need to watch the second movie, Lethal Weapon. It tells in there about how they have diplomatic immunity against us and how they use it against our military.
No, the globalists have diplomatic immunity and get caught running white slaves. I mean, sex slaves, folks. Drugs all the time. That's exactly how the New World Order, the UN, and all these mega groups, they all declare immunity. It's a joke. It's a con game.
It is a con game. You got it. You nailed it right on the nose. And Ron Paul all the way. I'm for him. I was so happy to hear on CBS this morning. I have to say that Newt Gingrich called him a liar. Not Ron Paul, but called Romney a liar. Right straight in front of everybody, man. I mean, everyone had a hard time getting themselves composure together.
You're supposed to, but look, he's a liar, too. I mean, I heard Gingrich whining about negative ads. Gingrich has been running negative ads.
He's a New World Order just leader right with him. You know what? They need to take the New World Order, and we need to start a New World action against them. Take it right to them.
Well, again, the devil's greatest trick was telling the world he didn't exist. And that's the mind game. we can never get rid of this because they have this weird unified front of none of it exists when it exists. I mean, that shows, I appreciate your call. The biggest example of fraud I know of is that every year before school starts, they announce everywhere, it's the law to take vaccines. There is no law. It's a giant criminal hoax. And then you hear the vaccine ads on the very same TV and radio stations. Now, the average radio station person is so weak-minded, they actually think it's the law, too. Again, it's just giant hoaxes. Let's talk to Rick in Florida. Rick, thank you. Welcome.
Alex?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. 5-year listener. I'm calling because I need your help. I'm in the process of declaring myself a free man on the land. All right? And I want to opt out of the Social Security system because it's that number. If you accept that number to your name, that's what ties you legally to the rest of their debt.
Yes, that's all true, but the system is so criminal now. They say they don't even follow their own rules, just like they've gotten rid of due process and say they'll secretly arrest you and blow your head off. They are lawless criminals. So just know that just because you say I'm a sovereign, you pull out of it, unless you're an illegal alien, they won't leave you alone. Illegals are above the law because they're here to drive down wages and a key part of the New World Order. But unless you're going to change your name and claim you're an illegal alien, you're not going to achieve true sovereign. Only illegal aliens, government criminals, and the Queen of England are sovereign. Hundreds of... Well, we've got another great patriot and another fellow Texan. Wayne Paul joining us for the rest of the hour. He's, of course, one of Ron Paul's brothers. And for many decades, he's been exposing the Federal Reserve, battling the IRS in court. He's a CPA. He is just a chip off the same block that Ron Paul came from, off the same tree. And I wanted to get him on today to talk a little bit about his brother and who his brother really is. I mean, I happen to know the inside baseball on Ron Paul, who would basically volunteer for free to work at charity hospitals because he believes in the free market. And in the free market, you're supposed to have people that dedicate their own time willingly to help those that are in need. That's what the Bible teaches. I happen to know that Ron Paul routinely would pay the bills of his poor patients. That's now coming out, not from his campaign, but from others. And that Ron Paul would volunteer in the minority, black areas mainly, and give them free health care. But Ron Paul is the type of person a hero. He won't talk about himself. He won't allow it because it's painful for people like him to hear it because he knows he's doing his duty. But I know his brother, if we twist his arm, might talk about him. And I've never asked you guys about your parents. What great people they must have been to produce such a great family of liberty lovers across the board. And now grandchildren, I know, are involved in the fight against the globalist. And we sure are proud to have you here with us in Texas. But Wayne, out of the gates, I was saying to you during the break, I said, Wayne, what do you want to talk about first? And he said, I'd like to mention a website where they're going to have people at all the caucuses themselves taking a photo of the tally board. That's why Ron's going to probably win Iowa, is because it's the old-fashioned vote with your hands at the precinct. It's tallied, put on a board. And so the Republicans have announced they're going to run into secret to protect it from anonymous hackers who've been protesting Ron Paul, obviously working for them, the Republican establishment, who've openly said they want to sabotage Paul. And if he wins, just ignore him. And so they're saying to protect it, it's a secret location. But we can stop them from doing that. And we're going to have the website up on screen here when Dew comes in about 20 minutes for a quick report. Because Dew's getting a piece together for this tonight on the Nightly News as well. But we got to get this going now, where they take a photo of it and then they have a public tabulation of that so that we can checkmate the fraudsters. And we also have articles at Prisonplanet.com. Republican insider, Fox analyst, GOP establishment planning to subvert Iowa to prevent Ron Paul win. We've got that audio clip coming up later as well. But it was funny because that was what I was going to raise to Wayne first, but he brought it up to me. So, Wayne, what is first on your radar screen here today, my friend?
Well, I think the biggest thing is how do we know we're going to have an honest tabulation? And there's those throughout the country have been thinking about this for a long time, and there's 3 or 4 guys on the East Coast that have set up a website called transparentvote.net. And they put out a letter to all the candidates in Iowa saying, if you've got people in a precinct, when the precinct count is finished and sign off on, before they whisk it away, ask them to put it up, and you take a camera picture of it with your iPhone and then upload it to transparentvote.net, and they'll run a concurrent tabulation that you can watch.
And, of course, that's what the Republican Party should do to maintain the safety of it. But notice the anonymous group, which is just a government cutout, has now gone and protested at Ron Paul's Iowa offices. They're talking horrible trash about him everywhere for 2 weeks. And they're the group threatening to disrupt the caucus, which now demonizes anybody who ever runs under the name Anonymous, and then allows the Republican establishment to run and secretly tabulate the vote. I mean, it's pretty obvious what's going on with these stinkers.
Sure. Did you hear what the governor of Iowa stated?
Yes, but I know you've got the quote. Give it to folks.
Well, he turned around and was on national television and said, if Ron Paul wins the Iowa caucuses, you have to discount it because it wouldn't mean anything.
It's amazing. I want to get into what it's like for the family and what it's like, you know, Ron Paul's brother, to see them twist things and tell the lies about him, and also see just a pack of mangy jackals that is the dinosaur prostitute media savaging your brother, but also savaging his supporters. And the governor saying, ignore the vote if he wins, which is saying ignore the voters. I mean, they're really showing their arrogance.
And I think that's true. I think the amazing thing, Alex, is people are afraid of truth and honesty. And it's the people that control things that are the most afraid. They can't handle the truth. The thing I'm most amazed about is my brother's capability of remaining positive and looking at the goal and not being deflected by all the other statements that are made that are negative to him. His goal is freedom, liberty, and privacy for everybody. That's what he wants. And I really think, Alex, we live in exciting times coming up, and starting today for the next 6 months, because economically things are going to get worse, and more people are going to say we want to change, and the snowball is starting to roll down the hill, and the powers to be don't like it, and they don't know what to do about it.
It was Julius Caesar that said there is a tide in the affairs of men when taking at the flood leads on to fortune. The fortune we seek is liberty and freedom in our time and for future generations, and to not live under a collectivist yoke of communitarianism. And imagine your brother, really for 40 years, but prominently for 3 decades, traveling the country, writing books, in and out of Congress, battling for basic Americana liberty. I mean, really nothing special, just basic common sense Constitution. And now, here he is, right as everything he warned of, and you and I and many others and G. Edward Griffin warned of, right as it's all happening just as we have said, there is Ron Paul. I mean, that's God giving us a chance. You know, God, if you study the Bible, Wayne, as you know, always gives people a way out, a chance.
And I'm saying this is our chance.
Well, you're right, but Wayne, we cannot lose, even if they steal the election down the road, by Ron running and by